Okay, thanks for joining us back for round 2 of the first reconnaissance scenario. We've made some good progress. Let's carry on, hopefully, with that good vein of fortune. We need to deal ourselves out our starting hand. We still have a hand limit of 5, so let's have a look. Instinct, swiftness, threaten, and concentration. And we will choose one of the knight tactics to go with. We are probably, from where we are, wanting to take out these heroes. We've got a lot of ranged attack, but again they're fortified, so we won't be able to use that until after they've attacked. Ranged attack can always just be brought down to a normal attack value, but they've only got an attack of 4, a defense of 4, so I think probably something really simple like preparation would be sufficient. When we take this tactic, search your deck for any one card and put it into your hand. We've got a green mana. We could take that, I forget the name of the card. Gives us movement plus also a bonus to attack or block, but we would be playing block first. We could then use instincts for the basic action without powering it up, using the green mana on that card, which would give us the block of 4, and we've got our skill token for the elemental block. Then we'd only need to work out how to get 4 attack, and with the crossbowman that would just be discarding 1 card. So preparations is a really good way to go. Sparing power is really nice when you want to build up for one very strong final go, but I think unless we get unlucky and the dummy player draws this, that would be nice for the second night, the final round of the game, where we want to take out the city, because every turn you put 1 card underneath it or take them all out, so you can save up for a very big hand. Otherwise, long night just gives you more turns. It lets you put 3 cards back into your D deck when it's empty and carry on. But if we don't get a move card, then we're slightly struggling with the hand we've got. So I think we'll go with preparation. I think that plan works quite well. We might have a look at what other cards we get in our deck and see if there's something nicer. Midnight Meditation, so he will be going first, but that's preferable because I want number 6 for the next round. So let's do the dummy player first of all. 1, 2, 3. Oof, it's green, and he has 3 green crystals, so we will draw 1, 2, 3. And there's no extra green cards in there, so chances are he will be racing through his deck this round. So let's have a look and see what we have as options. We've got just a lot of movement at the end of our deck, so it's probably pretty good. We're having a look through it to reshuffle. Ambush. There is cold toughness we could use, because we could have movement. That would get us 3 moves to get onto that plains token, and then no, we need to power this up to block. And yeah, I think really the best option is Ambush. It's a very nice card to try and save, but taking on those heroes straight away is going to be worthwhile. Okay, yeah, let's have a look then. So we use the green mana die on ambush, gives us move 4, which is enough to move onto here. We could use one other card sideways to get to move 5. We could reveal a new tile first, then move on to this location. That might be worth doing. The only risk is if there's a rampaging enemy there, in which case if you move from one adjacent space of a rampaging enemy to another space, you automatically provoke them. So we might end up facing 2 enemy tokens on that same location, or we just risk, or definitely even lose one of our movement points, which isn't the end of the world. We can keep this threaten to then potentially recruit another unit. So I think we'll keep hold of the card. We're just going to waste 1 movement. So we're going to generate 4, but it only uses 3 to end us onto the keep. Assaulting it, we do lose 1 of our reputation. If we kill them, we will lose 1 more. Okay, so it's fortified, so we cannot use our ranged attack to kill him beforehand, which is a shame, because otherwise we could use concentration to get up to the required amount. But as we worked out, we can block him fairly easily. That attack 2, we have cold block 2, which is perfect, and we're getting +4 block to the first block card of any type. So this is actually a block 6 when used to block that attack, which is more than sufficient. Then we need to generate 4 attack, and I think the easiest way is to use the Utum crossbowman. So they have an attack of 3, and then we can just discard a card sideways for that 4th attack. They're only resistant to fire elemental attacks, so we're not using fire, this is just normal attack. So that is perfectly fine. We're going to keep these 3 cards in our hands. We've still got the influence as an option to hire on the next round. So we kill the heroes, that will lose us 1 more reputation. So yeah. But we will get 5 fame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is exactly what we need to level up once more. So we will discard this token and we add 1 of our shields to indicate we have conquered this site. With forts, with keeps, sorry, this has a little benefit. You can recruit units with the keep icon, and if you end your turn on or adjacent to a keep you own, your hand limit is 1 higher for each keep you own. So if we find more keeps down the line, it will just get a bigger and bigger benefit. So at the moment this will increase our hand limit by 1 up to 6, but if we do find more, as I say, that could get really useful, particularly in those long scenarios over 3 days and 3 nights. If you can find 3 or 4 keeps to conquer, you can end up with a very large hand size, which makes assaulting the cities really quite simple. So last time we leveled up, we had a choice of only 2 skill tokens. Let's discard these and re-roll the ambush since we're done with our turn. Oh, black. But 1 token from the dummy player also gets added to that offer. So we have 1 of his crystal tokens as an option, as well as 2 of our own. The caveat with the dummy player token, if you decide to take theirs, you have to take bottom advanced action from the offer. Although this is quite nice, the blue and green crystal, or blue crystal green mana token, I don't think it's what I want to go with, not really after steady tempo. So we take this, it is called Resistance Break, and it means once a turn you choose an enemy token and it gets armor -1 for each resistance it has. So in the example of the enemy token we just destroyed with fire resistance, it would have actually only had an armor of 3. Particularly useful on some of the tough tokens which are resistant to every type of damage. If you can take 3 of their armor away because they're resistant, it almost mitigates for the fact that every point of damage you deal is halved. So we'll go with Armor Breaker, so that reduces their armor as well as now we've got that token which increases ours. One more token from the dummy player gets added, and this is another crystal token. Goldix has a lot of crystal tokens, more than I think any other mage, so if you like to have the flexibility of getting crystals and mana tokens on your turn, he's a good class to go with. Now in terms of the advanced actions in the offer here, as I said, I don't really fancy Steady Tempo, although that extra movement is quite good. Peaceful Moment gives you a lot of influence, so we could use that to hire. But we do already have Threaten, which with the red mana in the source we could get 5, and we'd only need 1 more influence to hire one of these swordsmen. So I think I might go for the Crushing Bolt. It gives us the opportunity to get crystals or get siege attack. So we'll go with that. It goes on to the top of our deed deck. And we fill the offer. Maximal effect. When you play this, throw away another action card from your hand and use the basic effect of that card 3 times. So I really like that card. But obviously it removes one of your cards from the game. It's, yeah, you'll never get the opportunity to do that again, but you get that strong action, the basic action 3 times, or if you power it up, you do the stronger effect 2 times for free. So can be really, really strong, and also a good way to actually thin out some of the useless basic cards from your hand. So something like Stamina, where you're just getting movement. Okay, fine, let's destroy it. We get 6 move now. We know we've already picked up another movement card, so we're not short of movement in our deck, and it just means you're likely to draw your better cards. So I do quite like it. I've seen a lot of comments that people really hate those throwaway cards, but they're not terrible. So that is our turn. The dummy player. 1, 2, 3. Oh, whew, another green, so 3 more cards. Okay, he's got rid of 2 green cards that time. He only has 5 cards left. If we're unlucky, that might be 1 turn and declare end of round. So we have 3 cards. We'll draw back up to 5, +1 because we're next to a keep. Perfect, so we've got influence and influence here. We are next to a couple of spaces we can explore. So I think I want to spend swiftness as its movement just to get through my deck a little quicker. We still have a lot of cards in hand, and we run the risk that we're never going to use these cards if we just don't play them. So if we explore one and see what's there, and then possibly use our influence, I think that's probably a good option. So movement of 2 first of all. We will reveal this this tile. We've got another magical glade, another mine, and a marauding enemy, but also a monastery. So let's place this tile out. Add 1 marauding enemy. I do actually just have to double check the marauding enemy. I don't believe it's face up until you're adjacent, but has been a little while since I've played actually. Place a green orc enemy token face up on this space. Nope, always face up, so that's quite nice. I wanted to double check that instead of just playing it wrong. So let's have a look then for the monastery. Monasteries don't have a token on them, you notice. You can recruit units here. So we could actually recruit the northern monks from this location because they have the monastery icon. You can buy healing, you can buy training, so for influence you could buy an advanced action, and for every monastery on the board you will add one advanced action into the unit offer. So in this case chivalry is available. Or you can burn down the monastery, you lose 3 reputation, you fight 1 purple token, but you gain an artifact as your reward. You cannot use your units during this fight. They will not join in. They do not like you pillaging a sacred place, but you get a very strong artifact out of it, so it can be worthwhile if you can afford that reputation loss. So that monastery is all the way up there, and we have 1 marauding enemy, rampaging enemy in the way. But I think we're going to go for the recruit action still. We don't have the movement. It would cost us 3 cards played sideways to get onto that blue crystal mine, which we could do. I think whilst we're here it's worth recruiting. So we've got influence 5 because we use a red mana die from the source. We've used swiftness for the movement, and we will get 2 more from promise, which is more than enough to recruit the Utum swordsman. They only require 6. They can only be recruited at our keep, and that is where we are. A recruit action is, as it says, your action for the round, so we will have to end there, although we've only used 3 cards. We could use Crushing Bolt and gain a crystal, but concentration plus Crushing Bolt for siege attack 5 is really strong. So I'd like to keep that combo in case we see anything nice and tempting, a fortified site we want to kill. So let's re-roll this dice. Another blue, so we only have 2 blue and a black in the source. Dummy player, it's blue, so he draws 1 more card. That was quite fortuitous. He has 1 left in his deck. We are still on or adjacent to a keep, so we will draw up to 6. Okay, so we can definitely kill the rampaging enemy. We didn't take our 1 fame for exploring. It's a strange rule to remember. It's the only scenario that you actually get that benefit, so apologies for that. But let's explore. I would like to get a green crystal to power it up for the move 4. We could use, we used the 1 from our bag to get the move 4. As I say, we can't go back and change our mind after new information is revealed, so if we don't declare to do it now, we never get the option. And if there's nothing on this tile, we do then want to move on to the blue mine anyway, so it's not the end. Okay, so nothing new that we haven't encountered before on this tile. We just have 1 more marauding enemy here. Oh, actually no, there is something new, isn't there? We have a monster den. So the monster den, you fight a brown enemy and get 2 crystals as a reward. I think that's possibly a better space to go to than the blue crystal mine. But we don't have the opportunity to use concentration anymore because we don't have our green dye. But maybe we'll go to the blue crystal mine, fight the marauding enemy, and then see where we go. Let's try and work out what we could potentially do with the cards we have. We've got 2 movement remaining from our march. We'd need 1 more movement to get onto a hills terrain, which both of these spaces, either the blue crystal mine or the terrain the monster den is on, would count as hills. They're 3 movements, so if we say we'll maybe spend a rage sideways, we could be on either space. We've got the Utum Swordsman, we've got these cards that we can use. So his attack 4 we could definitely block. Because we've got block 3 from our skill, so we could use even just concentration sideways would get us the final block. And having blocked him, we use the lower of these armor classes. This is from the Lost Legion expansion, and it's called Elusive. If you do not block the enemy's attack fully, then you use the higher value, and it's only if you block it. If you attack it in range combat or siege combat, you would still have to use that higher value. It's only if you successfully block it. So that would only leave him with an attack of 3, and then we could use I prefer not to have to use 2 cards to kill him, but maybe we would just have to use Rage's attack 2 and Crushing Bolt, because then we could keep Cold Toughness knowing we're going to have a blue crystal, because we're ending our turn on the crystal mine, so we'll almost certainly, with Cold Toughness plus our ability, be able to block whatever would come out of the monster den on the next round. And we've used a lot of our cards, so we've drawn nearly all of our hand that's remaining. And then we've got the swordsman potentially ready to help us fight. Yeah, it's very ineffective. We're using a lot of cards sideways to only gain 3 fame, but it's still another enemy killed, and then we get that blue crystal. So we'd already decided to power up our move, and this is the 5th movement, so we'll come here, provoke him using our ability token for 3 block plus concentration sideways for 4 block, and then 3 attack is 2 plus 1. Kills him, so we will gain 1 reputation back and 3 fame. Discard this token, we are not leveling up. We didn't actually use any dice from the source, which was a bit of a mistake, considering we used a crystal, but we do gain a crystal. So it's not the worst. The dummy player only has 1 card left, so that's discarded, and we will draw back up. We're still adjacent to the keep, so we'll draw back up to 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, we need 3 movement to get into that monster den. So So we may as well use our move 2 and Tranquility sideways. Although we could use that for heal. We don't actually have any attack options here except for our Utum Swordsman. So we might not want to use this card to block. So potentially having it to heal could actually be quite good. We've got 2 move cards here. Actually, what am I saying? Yes, we don't need to use Tranquility. We can use these 2 to move and keep Tranquility in case we decide not to block. So we have locked in using those cards. We cannot change our mind once we now reveal a brown token. So draw 1 token. Oh, it is a Minotaur, so he is brutal. So if we do not block his attack, instead of a 5 you count it as 10. So we would take a lot of wounds from this. But blocking 5 isn't the hardest. So we've got a block of 3. So Ice block 3 just makes it 6, which is enough. Then to get 5 attack, we'll use the Swordsman, Tranquility, and Mana Draw. And Crystallize we'll use with a blue mana to gain a green crystal back. I think that's probably as good as we're going to do that. We could save our cards and wound this unit so that instead of doing an attack 3 he does the attack 6 and completely kills it by himself, but we would then have to power up Tranquility for a heal of 2 because removing a wound from a unit, it's 1 heal per level of the unit, so it's better to just discard those 2 cards rather than try to heal. And also we only have 1 card left in our deck, so it's unlikely we're going to be moving on beyond this point. Regardless, we're not going to really do any other attacks, so keeping hold of these cards doesn't give us really any benefit. Yeah, so that's him killed, and we get 4 fame. This is on 23, and we roll 2 dice. So let's take 2 out from here, and we will get a mana crystal of the colours shown. If it's gold we will choose, and if it's a black we will just gain fame instead. So we get a red, and we've got gold, so we can choose. And I think I'm going to go for green because the 2 advanced actions we've picked up have both been green cards, so having that extra green flexibility will be pretty useful. So these go into our bag there. This token is discarded. All of our cards are used, and the blue dice remains blue. It's a very cold night. The only elements out so far today have been ice and darkness. The dummy player has no cards left, so they will declare end of round. And our 1 remaining card is stamina. So we will use it with a blue dice from the source. And the only question is, where would we like to go? I think with 4 movement, the best option for us is to explore 1 extra tile. The reason being, we're 1 fame away from leveling up, and when we level up, our hand size will increase to 6. So that's quite a nice bonus to have at the start of the next round. So we're going to want to move 2 onto this space here, and then declare we're revealing a tile here. And we've got 1 new location spot, and that is a dungeon. So with dungeons, you cannot have your units come join you, but again you would fight a brown token. So it's slightly harder than the monster den we fought because you have to do it by yourself, whereas we used our unit to help us. But the reward you get is better. Rather than 2 crystals, you could get an artifact or a spell. So pretty good. So this tile will go here. One more rampaging orc up at the top here. I'm going to ignore this tile. It's from the Shaded Tesla, just because, as I say, I wanted to avoid these tokens rather than getting too complicated. Let's try another one. That's another token. There we go. Okay, and we've got 2 monasteries, so we do add 1 more advanced action into the unit offer, even though we've used our 4 movement 2 to move here and 2 to explore the tile, but we will take that 1 fame and level up. So we can recruit once more, and our hand size has increased to 6. We've only got 4 tiles left. One of these bottom 3 is the city, which would normally be the end of the game. So we've done pretty well. We're only halfway through for 1 player. There's a few rules for where you can place core tiles, which is a little more restrictive than the countryside tiles. They cannot go along the outside of the wedge, so we could not have one here or here, and they also have to be next to 2 countryside tiles. A countryside tile could go next to only 1 countryside tile, as long as that countryside tile it's next to is next to 2, which is a little convoluted. I normally only place tiles adjacent to 2 tiles, and then it's easy to remember the core tiles have to be in the middle and not on the outside of the wedge. But that is our final card, so we would re-roll it, put it back in the source, but since it's the end of the round, we will be re-rolling everything in the source anyway. So let's flip this over to the day side again, re-roll. That's pretty good. Less than half is gold or black. We only have 1 gold. We will add this blue card into his deck, and because the last spell is blue, he will gain a blue crystal. So he now has 2 blue crystals and 3 green crystals. These will move down and replenish. These go to the bottom. These go. New units. And we still have 2 monasteries. If we were to burn down one of these monasteries, you'd lose the advanced action. So we have those 2 cards as well. And that is all set, ready for the 3rd round, our 2nd day. So I will just square it off here and hopefully see you on the next one.